to get a fair and equitable reval on the house. So it's easier for the people out there in the community to understand exactly what their property's worth and what their taxes are based on.
Is a grant available for this?
That's something that
We have no idea at this time.
No, it's
being,
not.
Being a suburban town, we may have, an option here that we're not even aware of.
I mean, I don't really know if there are any grant opportunities for it. We have to explore it. I don't know for the timeline. I know they want to get
It's
this
tight,
going,
but
obviously.
We need to gather some information here as quickly as we can to find out.
I have a question for you, Judd. I don't know if your committee looked into this. You have a resident who, this is a concern that I've heard, it's been in their property 50 years, no reassessment, 30 years, whatever it may be. Obviously, they would see a huge increase in their assessment. Is there any way to, if you're talking about an elderly person, whatever, what may have you, is there any way to do a gradual increase for those folks? Or would you have to just go, as an automatic jump up to full assessment?
As we understand it, there is no way to gradually increase
Phased in.
assessments and or taxes. Okay? Now, having said that, there are exemptions that there's, if you go on the website, there's pages of exemptions.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is senior exemptions. Now, again, I'm not an expert in this, but that is something that should be explored, and in my opinion, should be explored proactively by the assessor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? STAR gets a lot of play, but there are other exemptions that are available. Okay? Now, let me go back to your first assumption, which I really don't know if that's a valid assumption. Because
It may not be. I'm just saying, you have, if you have some seniors, whatever, that's their first question. Am I going to go from my property has been reassessed since, because the failure of the town to do anything in the last 30 years or what may have you, am I going to go from an $80,000, $40,000 house up to $150,000 house or whatever it may have?
right.
I'm
And
just
the
throwing an
answer is,
example.
at this point, we don't know.
Right.
Okay? Especially the real estate market going the way it is right now, some properties are decreasing.
Absolutely.
Okay? But bear in mind that this is all going to be done in one snapshot in time,
Mm-hmm.
so that all properties will be revalued. So it isn't a valid assumption to say that because I haven't been reassessed, my property is going to double or stay the way it is.
Sure.
It's something that is, I keep going back to the fact that it's going to be a move towards fairness and equity, and you'll be paying your fair share. And the office of the assessor will be more than happy, I hope, to work with those folks in gaining exemptions that are appropriate for their status.
Good. Thanks. There's a lot of good information.
Jim?
Yes.
One thing I think people need to be told, and probably it hasn't ever been discussed,
Yeah.
other than those that are probably doing the work or myself, if we go to a full assessment, right now, I'll use an example, our school rate, if you're a North Syracuse school system person, the rate's $402 and change per thousand. Once we go to full assessment, that rate's not going to be $402 anymore. If you talk to somebody in the town of Salina, there's maybe $6.36, and I'm just throwing a number. It's not going to stay at $400. So if you go to a $100,000 assessment on your house that you think has only been $5,000 at the current time, it's not going to be $402 times 100,000. So that's something to think about there.
May I ask something? I'm not quite sure how you arrive at the value of the house. Is the value of the house what it would bring in the market if you were to sell it, or is it that little equation that you had?
Well, to arrive at the market value based on the assessed value of your home, that's the equation. When the assessor revalues the home, it's based on market values.
Are you gonna use the existing stats then, on that one equate, it's all gonna be started from scratch? All your new figures are gonna be from scratch? Because it looked like you were gonna use some existing data to arrive at the price of the house.
No, the data collection effort, that's the major effort, getting that inventory corrected. There is an inventory right now. It's incorrect in a lot of cases. So the first step is to correct that inventory. So that if your home is a 4-bedroom, 2 baths, all of that information is up to date in the inventory. Then they can use that information for their revaluation.
Well, basically, you can say what it would bring on the marketplace will what would be appraised at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to make a comment, I'm in favor of this, but judging the way things a lot easier to comprehend than this that you put out there, and people didn't understand. They're never gonna grasp this, a lot of them. You're gonna have extremely angry people, and I don't know if you can do it in 2 years.
Communication.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, they couldn't grasp the adult entertainment thing. They thought you were trying to put the adult entertainment thing in their area. After you explained it 10,000 times to them, they couldn't grasp that. So something like this, when they get their bills and they see their house is gonna go way up, and it's just gonna be like.
Well, as John mentioned, it's all about education.
Communication.
But that's my point. They don't grasp it. You tell them, you explain it the best you can, but I bet you at least a quarter of the people are not gonna get it. They're gonna clog the whole system up.
No.
I don't know what the solution would be to that.
Yeah, I hope this process is going to be different than the adult, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, my point is, they couldn't grasp a simple thing like that.
Well-
This is gonna hit them in the pocketbook.
But I think that the process that we foresee is going to be different, in that it's going to be a proactive process where they will get mailings right to their home, explaining it to them. And working each step of the process with them so that everybody understands it.
Or maybe.
And it's a challenge. I
And what
agree.
they're gonna look at, they're not gonna see your house is valued at $5,000, $6,000, whatever, on the partial assessed value that we have now. Now they're gonna see a figure that represents the value of their home.
Right.
And then they know what per thousand charge is for each one of those things. It's a lot easier for them to kind of
I
understand.
agree with you, and a lot of those people are gonna see, they're not gonna agree with the figure that you arrive at,
Well, that's why we have
I mean, it's.
the assessment board of review, they'd be able to come in with an assessor if they needed to, to
Yeah.
do the explanation themselves, if they feel that it's,
I just think you're in for an enormous.
either way you look at it, we're gonna be in
But I don't
for.
see any other resolution, but I just, and I don't think you're gonna be able to do it in 2 years. I don't think you're ever gonna be able to get to a meeting with the assessor unless it's 2 months out. I mean, I just don't know how you're gonna handle those kind of numbers.
They do in other towns. Why can't we do it in Cicero?
Sharon, you got a comment?
I have a comment, I'm gonna say something in I guess, to support the assessor's office. 1990, and that's a long time ago, I was in the assessor's office, and my job was that of input of the information, because I believe Mr. Millette was our supervisor back then. We did a reval of the town, and people were sent letters. And you said, I have 4 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, 6 kitchens, whatever it was. I've lived here my whole life, and I laughed at a lot of them when they came in, because I said, I've been in this house. We have 3 bathrooms, and have a beautiful dining room and a beautiful living room, and it said original cupboards, original cabinets. A lot of our information that's over there is old, it's stunk, but the law said we had to submit what was on that piece of paper. I signed it and said that's what I had was 1 bathroom. If I really have 7, I was the liar. But that stuff got put in there, and it's never been touched, I don't think, since I did it way back then. So a lot of the stuff that was in there was erroneous, yes, but I don't know how you catch it up. I mean, at that point, we only had 3 people in there, plus a part-time clerk, and no, I don't think anybody then went out. And then once we had somebody
You
go
had a
around,
state rep in there,
we
too.
had someone go house to house, and people refused to let them in, and that created another whole thing. So you had to put in what the paper said. So in defense of them, that was done, but it was 1990.
I remember that kid, and I remember the police came call, right when I was waiting to talk to the assessor, they called the police on an old call. They were complaining. Cop came in, they left, and we intimidated them out of it. I mean, that's just, this is a tiny speck compared to this. One other thing, if you combine the office with, say,